The asteroid didn't even see it coming. Out past the Kuiper Belt dock, frozen, forgotten, chunk of ancient rock drifted lazily in the black. It had been out there longer than Earth's countenance had existed, untouched, unimportant. Until today, the slug hit at 0.08, see over 23,000 kilometers per second. The asteroid didn't break. It didn't shatter. It ceased. One moment it was there. The next it was plasma and dust, vaporized in an expanding cone of ionized particles, screaming into the void. No sound, just silence, and somewhere above Earth, aboard the orbital weapons platform Gaia Station, cheers erupted. Direct hit, a young systems tech shouted, punching the air. Commander Alina Rourke didn't smile, not yet. She kept her eyes locked on the data feed as Thorn, the railgun stretching across nearly a kilometer of orbital scaffolding, cooled with a long metallic groan. The recoil had rattled the entire platform. External stabilizers were still venting gas to level out the station's drift. "We're reading full kinetic yield," the weapons officer confirmed, awe in his voice. "Target vaporized at 2.3 astronomical units. That's 5 times past Pluto. Jesus." Rourke exhaled slowly, her voice calm and clipped. "Good. Spin down capacitors. Start magnetic coil diagnostics. I want a full thermal profile, ma'am," her XO called, frowning at a separate monitor. "We're getting a subspace echo. Bounce back telemetry. From the asteroid. No. Deeper, past the outer system. It's faint, like something registered the shot." She turned sharply. "What? Do you mean something?" He didn't answer at first. His screen flickered. Data streamed past waveform distortions, telemetry interference, gravity lensing too refined to be natural. Rourke stared at it. It was a ripple, knocked out like someone had tapped a finger on the surface of a calm lake, and the ripple was returning. From the other side, she straightened. "Run diagnostics. See if any known sources." "No, Commander," the tech cut in, pale. "This isn't ours. This is external and intelligent. 3 light-years away, the Draythuan listening beacon. Once a monument to a dead empire, flickered to life for the first time in 200 years. FTL comes flared. Dormant programs screamed alerts. Drones rotated. Scanners unfurled. Emergent. Threat. Category unknown. Relativistic kinetic signature detected. Back at Gaia Station, telemetry stabilizing, the XO said nervously. "But that ... echo. It's moving faster than light, Commander." "That's not possible." Rourke didn't speak. She stepped forward, placing a hand gently on the massive railgun. Housing still warm to the touch. Still humming faintly. They had tested a weapon they weren't supposed to finish for 5 more years. Just a prototype. Just a show of Earth's rising technological prowess. They had aimed at a dead rock, and now something far beyond, Pluto, far beyond human understanding, had heard them. "What's the worst-case scenario?" her XO asked, voice low. Eyes didn't leave the dark curve of space outside the viewport. The stars hadn't changed, but everything else had. "We didn't just fire a railgun," she said softly. "We announced ourselves. Space does not echo, but across a system of shattered moons, a long-dead war machine woke up. The Varnick Observer Node 1 to be, buried beneath obsidian rock, flared to life. Crystals hummed. 1,000 needle-thin antennae twitched in zero-G like the limbs of an awakening insect. It had slumbered for a century, forgotten even by its creators. Now, it had heard something. A pulse. A signature. Unmistakable. A rail kinetic impact at relativistic velocity fired by a pre-FTL species. Category red. Civilization. Jump detected. Varnack core world. Command spy rover looking in endless sky of smog and spires. Varnack fleet. Kazar studied the telemetry with the cool indifference of a predator. The message from Node 1 to be hovered above the table. Translated from machine code. Impact location. Sol system. Origin, Terran Planet 3. Velocity, 0.08 c. Kinetic yield, planetary class penetrator. Khazar blinked slowly. His face was a lattice of bone-plated ridges, like cracked marble over steel. He tapped a claw on the holographic star map. The Sol system flared red. A primitive, he said, voice low and distorted through the translation system. The Varnak's slurred, floating on grav suspensors, pulsed in agreement. Humans, non-jump capable. Barely at orbital colonization. No recorded fleet activity. And they built this ... Thorn. The Science Lord hesitated, unconfirmed, but the design is not stolen. No known galactic species uses railgun tech at this scale. They engineered it. That silenced the chamber. They built it. Alone. Khazar curled his lip. What primitive builds a planetary kill weapon before building ships to leave their home? Humans are chaotic, violent, isolated. Predictive algorithms mark them as an emerging anomaly. Khazar stared into the void. Beyond the glass an empire of 160 subjugated worlds. The last species to develop a similar weapon had incinerated 3 Varnak cruisers in orbit and been wiped from the stars. He would not let that happen again. Mobilize the Black Fang scouts, he said. No first contact. No diplomacy. Just silence them. Back on Earth, Gaia Station Rourke stood at the viewport, the stars cold and unmoved. The railgun's heat still shimmered faintly in the hull. The ripple they had detected was gone, but it had reached somewhere. A message pinged from Earth's strategic defense net. She opened it. Incoming object detected. Non-natural trajectory. Entry vector. Beyond Saturn. No response to hails. Estimated arrival. 29 hours. One object. Then 2. Then 9. Sir, the XO said behind her, voice barely above a whisper. That's a formation. Rourke didn't blink. She had a growing weight in her chest. Not fear, but confirmation. We called something, she murmured. And it's coming to check who fired the gun. Visual suspense beating the black of space beyond Saturn. 9 sleek, jagged ships coasted silently. Matte black holes absorbing starlight. They had no lights, no signatures, no visible propulsion. They were shaped like blades designed to enter systems and not be seen until it was too late. And every single one of them had already targeted Gaia Station. Earth's eyes in the dark began to vanish. First, it was Kepler-Relatu, spinning quietly near Neptune. Then Oberon watch postafline mid-transmission. By the time Job scoped near Jupiter flickered and went dead. Alarms screamed across global defense networks. Not a glitch, not solar interference. Something was taking them out, silently, precisely, and still. No one knew who got Gaia Station. Minus 240 kilometers above Earth. Commander Rourke stood in the command ring of the orbital station, listening to the silence of the void where their satellites used to be. They're closing the net, she said, blindfolding us before they strike. Her XO paced nearby, pale and sweating. We're trying to retask telescopes, old recon satellites, anything. But it's like they know exactly what we'll use next. On the main holomap, Earth's orbit looked like a battlefield before the first shot. Defenseless red icons, blinking out one by one. And above Saturn, 9 unknown objects, moving slow, deliberate, and silent. Not broadcasting. Not answering hails. Still no IFF. Rourke asked. None. It's like they refuse to be seen. They don't care if we see them, she said grimly. They only care that we can't stop them. Suspense visuals. The silent fleet out in the void. The 9 alien ships coasted, like spears thrown through time-angled black surfaces, absorbing light, heat, and signal. No propulsion trails. No radio chatter. Just relentless, perfect motion. Inside one of them, nestled in curved bone metal walls, a Varnak command being flexed its tendrils around a holographic projection of Earth. The Railgun signature blinked in red. Nullify, Earth. United Defense Council emergency session in Geneva. World leaders argued under flashing red lights. This could still be a misunderstanding, one diplomat insisted. We don't know their intent. They disabled 26 orbital assets in 2 hours, snapped the Secretary General. That's not diplomacy. That's a prelude. Still, the room was paralyzed. No one wanted to be the one to fire. First, no one wanted to be the reason Earth started a war with something they didn't understand. Back on Gaia, Station Rourke wasn't waiting. They're already at Saturn, she said to her engineers. At this speed, they'll be within range in 15 hours. Spin up Thorn. Prep another slug. Her XO flinched. We don't even have a confirmed target lock. We don't need one, she said. We aim for a line they won't cross. If they cross it, we fire. What if Command says no? She turned to him, voice like ice. Then Command can watch Earth burn from behind a desk. In Earth orbit, Thorn rotated slowly on its magnetic ring. Its massive coils glowed, faint blue, charging. The launch rail 1.3 kilometers long locked. Into position, aimed at the edge of the solar system. A line had been drawn, and somewhere in deep space, the Varnak fleet didn't slow down. Above Earth, nightfall came, but the stars didn't. They were gone. Not all of them, just enough. Just the right ones. Gaia Station's sky-facing sensors showed it first. 9 points of absence. Not blinking, not moving, just wrong. Ship's black, as a shadow's bones, had reached visual range. Still silent, still coasting. And Earth still hadn't fired. Gaia Station weapons bay. Omega Commander Rourke stood on the catwalk overlooking Thorn's barrel. Steam rising from coolant pipes. Engineers racing to stabilize the coils. Sweat slicked her hands inside her gloves. They're inside the line, her XO said. Rourke looked up. One of the black ship's sleek, insectoid, knife-lick had drifted into range. On screen, its hull shimmered like oil in water. Its sharp silhouette moved in total silence. I see it, she said. Defense Council hasn't authorized engagement. Rourke's jaw clenched. They don't have to. Earth United Defense Council HQ alarms blared as the unknown vessels crossed into Earth's inner defense sphere. This is a violation of protocol, an ambassador snapped. And what protocol covers this? Someone else shouted. We don't even know what they are. Then, a chilling ping. Thorn. Railgun coil locked. Target acquired. Final countdown initiated. Visual suspense. A gun in the darken, the vacuum of Earth's orbit. Thorn's barrel groaned as it locked onto the target. The capacitor's thrum charging one last time. Engineers stood back as magnetic coils began glowing white-hot. The slug was in place. A 6-meter tungsten rod, smooth as glass, primed to fire at 0.1 C. It would not explode. It would simply obliterate. And still, the alien ships said nothing. Gaia Station command deck, 10 seconds. The weapons officer called out. Target still passive. The XO said. They're not responding. They're watching, Rourke said quietly, trying to decide if we're bluffing. A long beat. 5 seconds. No orders came from Earth. No recall. No override. Rourke stood like a statue. Fire. Cinematic beat. The first shot. The railgun screamed. Not a sound, just motion. A blue flare tore across space, followed by an ion wake that lit the sky. The alien vessel didn't react until the slug hit. The ship's hull crumpled and folded inward. The kinetic impact tore it in half like it was paper in the hands of God. One half spun into Saturn's rings. The other scattered into vapor and debris. 8 remaining ships scattered instantly, darting like startled predators, breaking formation, cloaking again. Back on Gaia Station's silence, then cheers, screams, slaps on the back, but not from Rourke. She stared at the shrinking debris field. No joy, she murmured. Her XO blinked. We killed one of them. That was a warning. She shook her head. No, that was their test. They sent one ship ahead to see what we'd do. He swallowed, and now, she looked out into the blackness, jaws set like iron. Now they know we can bite. Let's see if they come to break our teeth. At 4 o'clock UTC, the sky lit up, but the sun wasn't rising. It was the fleet. 50 vessels, then 100, black silhouettes, blotting out constellations. No warnings, no messages, just coordinated silence then fire. The Varnak didn't want conquest. They wanted to erase the shot that had shattered the quiet. Gaia Station 7 hours. After first impact, the orbital alarms didn't stop. Sirens layered over each other. Engineers worked shoulder to shoulder, shouting through smoke and broken filters. Thorn had fired again twice. 2 more kills, but it wasn't enough. Commander Rourke limped through the corridor, shoulder wrapped in pressure foam. Her uniform was torn, blood dried in a line down one sleeve. Her XO caught up to her, face ash gray. We've lost Lunanet. Most of our Lagrange satellites are gone. Earth's blind. How's Thorn? Cooling systems failing. 1 more shot, maybe. 2, before we melt the barrel. Rourke didn't flinch. Then make them count. Earth orbit, visual suspense alien ships, danced like shadows, no engines, flaring. No exhaust, just motion. They struck with precision, EMP rods, disabling stations, kinetic darts punching through defense platforms. The ISS burned a dozen orbital. Relays shattered into aurora-streaked debris, but still Earth hit back. Converted cargo. Freighters launched makeshift missiles. Civilian telescopes relayed coordinates in Morse. One retired pilot launched a suicide run in a retrofitted mining tug, slamming it into a Varnak scout at Mach 12. Rourke saw it all on a flickering screen. People are fighting. Her XO whispered, "We're not ready." They don't care. She shook her head. They're not ready for us. Thorn's last shot, the railgun barrel glowed dull red, too hot to touch. Every support bolt sang under pressure. The firing coil screamed like metal being torn apart. But they had 1 shot left. A team of engineers volunteered to manually load the slug because the automated system had melted down. Rourke stood on the command deck. Helmet cracked, chest heaving. She could barely speak. But when the countdown hit 1, she nodded. The slug fired. A perfect arc of hell. It caught a Varnak dreadnought mid-pivot. The impact didn't just break the ship, split it across 3 dimensions. Twisted metal and impossible geometry rained across orbit. Like an alien god had been pulled inside. Out. Gaia Station blacked out. Emergency broadcast global across Earth. Every screen flickered on. A simple message. Rourke's voice, faint and tired, but unmistakably human. We are under attack. Not because we threatened, not because we provoked, because we showed them what we could do. We're still here, and we're still firing. Across the world people stood. Civilians, soldiers, scientists, hackers, no orders, no hesitation. Earth refused to fall quiet. In the wreckage of low orbit, as Thorn cooled to silence, an alien wreckage drifted like corpses in a cosmic graveyard. A new signal broke through. Not Varnak, not human, something else. And it wasn't a threat, it was a whisper. Earth, do not power down your weapon. They will return. We've seen this before. And we, ... remember. Gaia Station. After the blackout, Rourke blinked against emergency lights as life support rebooted. Her XO pulled her up from the deck, bleeding from the temple. "We're alive," he gasped. "No," she replied, coughing smoke. "We're not dead yet. There's a difference." The message repeated, "Audio only, low.com. Ancient. It came on an encrypted channel that didn't exist in human systems. A frequency not used in centuries. It bypassed firewalls, like they weren't. There, we are what is left of the lost, the Whisper Fleet. We heard your shot. We once fired one of our own, and we paid the price. Visual suspense. Arrival of the Whisper fleet. In the shadow of Jupiter, the void shimmered like heat on glass. Then motion. Ships appeared, not jumped, not warped. Phased. They were angular, retrofitted, scarred. All different species, all different designs. Their hulls were marked with the same symbol, a spiral broken in half. 20 vessels. No formation, no broadcast, just silent presence. On Gia's main screen, one line of text appeared in every Earth language. We are not here to fight for you, but we will help you finish the fight you started. Rourke's briefing. Earth Defense Council. Earth's leaders were divided. Again, we don't know who they are. We don't have time to argue. They could be manipulating us. Rourke stared at the hologram of the Whisper fleet. If they wanted us dead, they would have waited 5 minutes. Thorn was offline. A pause, and look at their ships. They've fought the Varnak, and survived. We should be asking how. The truth behind the whispering. A private channel. Rourke was shown a vision. Images fed directly into her neural uplink. She saw once great empires burned to ash. Species that developed too fast, invented too much. The Varnak came each time, cold, silent, righteous. We were like you, eager, brilliant, loud. The galaxy does not reward fire, it punishes it. But then Earth's shot echoed, not a cry for help, a declaration. The Whisper fleet heard it, and remembered what courage felt like. We won't save you, but we will give you the means to save yourselves. They didn't arrive like last time. This time, the sky split, not in orbit, not above the outer planets. They dropped right above Earth, ignoring gravity wells, ignoring defenses as if daring someone to stop them. One ship, one siege cruiser. Varnak's answer to rebellion. Larger than Everest. Its hull shimmered like liquid obsidian. It didn't come cloaked, it came to make a point. Your warning shot was acknowledged. Now you will be corrected. Gaia Station, emergency. Power, it's not a fleet, the XO said, staring at the feed. It's just one. Rourke leaned forward, bruised, gaunt, steady. No, that's worse. She pointed to the structure's mass. One ship means they're confident. That thing could crack our crust if it drops fast enough. Thorn can't penetrate something that size, he said quietly. Not anymore. Rourke's eyes burned. Then we build something that can. Visual suspense, building the final shot in the cold beneath Antarctica. Thorn 2 came online, powered by the planet's magnetic field, guided by gravitational lensing software from the Whisper fleet, firing a quantum-fused tungsten slug laced with exotic particles that shouldn't even exist. The math said the recoil might tear a hole in space, or crush the station beneath its own energy, and it could still miss. Council, debate the price of the shot. Global leaders gathered virtually. It's a risk we can't afford, one said. If we destroy the upper atmosphere, we die either way, Rourke interrupted. That ship isn't here to intimidate. It's here to erase us. Silence. Let Earth choose fire over forgetting. Let this be our last shot, or our loudest. Cinematic beat. The countdown. Final slug loaded. Thorn 2's coils pulsed barely stable. In the sky. The juggernaut began lowering into the thermosphere. Its gravitic anchor arms unfurling like wings of a titan. T-minus 10 seconds. Sweat streamed down the operators' faces. Sparks danced from the capacitor tower. 7 seconds. The Whisper fleet withdrew, not out of fear, but respect. 4 seconds. Across Earth, people watched from rooftops, screens, bunkers, holding their breath. The impossible shot the slug launched. It didn't fly. It folded, vanished, and reappeared halfway across the sky, trailing light like a sunbeam sliced with razors. The Varnak juggernaut tried to shift shields too slow. The slug hit, not with force, with cancellation. Its kinetic profile bent. Space-time. The ship's hull twisted, then imploded in reverse, collapsing into a point of light before blooming into a silent, expanding halo of matter. For a moment all was still. Then Gaia. Station's hull cracked. The feedback nearly tore the station apart. But Earth held. Just barely. Aftermath silence again. There were no more enemy signals. No pursuit. No transmission. The VARNAK ... vanished. Not in defeat. In realization, the humans hadn't just survived, weaponized physics itself to defy extinction. After the juggernaut fell, there was no retaliation, no Varnak fleet, no diplomatic hail, only silence, a kind of silence. The galaxy hadn't heard in millennia, the kind that meant someone had spoken a language older than conquest, the language of survival, of fury, of fire, and every species that watched from the shadows understood something vital. Earth was not just another world. Earth was a line in the dark, and someone just crossed it. Earth 3 days later, smoke still clung to the upper atmosphere. Debris ringed the planet like a scorched crown. Thorn, too, was gone. Gaia Station was crippled, and Rourke sat in a wheelchair overlooking the Pacific. Her leg wrapped in synth-skin, her veins still flushed with anti-radiation slurry. Her XO handed her a cum slate. "They're asking if we'll rebuild Thorn." She didn't even blink. "We'll build 3. He smiled faintly. "So, ... what now?" Rourke stared at the stars, then replied, "Now, they come to us." Visual suspense. The galactic response across the Orion Arm. Things changed. Trade routes shifted away from Sol. Out of fear, silent observation probes were deactivated, their operators unsure of what humans might trace back. The Galactic Concord, once indifferent to pre-FTL worlds, called its first emergency summit in 1,000 years. They played the footage of Earth's final shot, over and over. They didn't understand the physics, but they understood intent. This was no cry for help. This was a statement. The Whisper Fleet's last message before vanishing beyond Saturn's orbit. The Whisper Fleet sent one final encrypted message. "We were born from the ashes of lost worlds. But you're not ashes. You're the spark. Don't let them smother it." They left behind blueprints, upgrades, warnings. They also left behind respect, the kind that only comes from survivors who recognize a kindred fury. Earth's rebirth under the guidance of what was left of the UN. Earth changed. The first orbital rail defense network began construction. Nations collaborated not for dominance, but survival. Former enemies shared engine cores, shield tech, food stockpiles, because the galaxy had stopped looking at Earth as weak and started seeing it as dangerous. Cinematic. Beat a new inscription at the edge of Sol system. A satellite now floats endlessly, transmitting a repeating signal in hundreds of languages. This system is protected. If you come in peace, you are welcome. If you come with conquest, remember the last who tried. Beneath it is a nameplate, once scratched into a station wall by an exhausted engineer before the first shot was ever fired. Thorn. Final scene. Rourke's Lagosian, a quiet classroom in New Nairobi. A child raises their hand. "Teacher," she asks, "what was Thorn, really?" "Just a big gun." The teacher smiles and taps the old screen. Footage rolls, the railgun's barrel glowing, the slug launching, the sky folding. "No," he says softly, "Thorn wasn't a gun. Thorn was a message." To who? To the galaxy. "We were quiet once, but now we know what we are. And when we speak, the stars listen."